Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Empowered Conversations. After much needed summertime vacation, I'm so excited to be back today and speaking with my guest, Malcom Evans. I went to New York. I had this amazing trip to New York. I appeared on one of my good friends' cooking shows at Sunday Dinner with Clemenza. If you haven't seen that, you must check it out. It was so fun and so fabulous. And then I went, into the city and I spent some time with a girlfriend of mine. And boy, did we do some walking in 100-degree heat. And it was just absolutely amazing all that I was able to experience in the city, taking the Staten Island ferry back and forth. That was an amazing experience. And then I went down to Myrtle Beach for a much needed me, myself, and I vacation. Got to sit on the beach, had an amazing massage, did some self-reflection, and got to spend time with some of my just favorite people in the world. And that was cathartic in and of itself. And guys, again, I am so excited to be back with Empowered Conversations. And if this is your first time joining, Empowered Conversations is where I have amazing conversations with extraordinary people who are doing beautiful things in service to others out in the world, through themselves and out in the world. Hey, Siobhan, what's up, girl? And as well, living their best lives, like living lives truly with intention and on purpose. And at the end of the day, that's my biggest message, my biggest take home is the personal responsibility that we have for our lives and in and everything around it. So with all that being said, we're going to get started. I'm going to tell you all about my fantastically fabulous guest, Malcom Evans, who is originally from Wales, United Kingdom. He is an executive coach and the founder of Sales Accent LLC. He got the travel bug at an early age. He's lived in 3 countries and worked internationally for some very large companies. Since 2013, he has been successfully showing individuals and their teams how to predictably grow their sales. Or should I say, he's been showing individuals and teams at companies how to predictably grow their sales. Malcom initially founded his company Sales Accent in 2013 to serve corporate clients, but he saw a shift coming in the employment world, haven't we all? And a need would soon exist for workers to understand they may experience job losses, and to know that if they gain extra skills, can become self-reliant and even take their ideas and passions and turn them into viable businesses. Oh yeah, he is a no-nonsense coach, love that will show you how to get healthy in your body, your mind, and your business. His clients become self-reliant and go on to create revenue streams in this new gig economy. From a technology and sales corporate career in different countries, he is now a coach that does what he teaches by being a gig economy entrepreneur. Malcom has the tools and advice to help clients think about their situation in a new way and not worry. His motto is, if it's difficult, you're doing it wrong. So everybody, hands together. Woo, drum roll, please. Help me in welcoming my first guest back on Empowered Conversations, Malcom Evans.
Wow.
Hey.
Stephanie, I was getting goosebumps listening to that, anticipating seeing me.
You were so fabulous, that's why. Oh, God.
Thank you. You're very gracious, really, and thanks for having me today.
Thank you for being on. It's such an honor to have you here.
Yeah, good. And it's and it was great. I love the energy already, and we've known each other for it must be 18 months, from distance, and spoken a few times. But I love what you're doing here. I love the empowerment, the message. there's an awful lot of people out there that need messages, awful lot of people
Absolutely.
that just need to be tipped over that edge anyway. So I'm really looking forward to chatting with you today, and been watching you from a
Yes.
distance, and hey, I love it. So.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. So you lived in Wales. When did you move over to the States from Wales?
Okay. Um, let me go back to, Wales is a little place. It's only ever been
Uh-huh.
3 million people there, and I did see the other day from the embassy that they were think of having it recarpeted because it's so small.
Right.
So anyway, at the age of 16, I wanted to get out of Wales. There's a lot of rain in Wales. Um,
Right.
I decided, life's goals. I wanted to see the world and have somebody else pay for it, and it took up until the age of 24 when I decided I'm going to take some action, and I like to take massive action. So I got married
I'm
at
right
the
there
age of
with you.
24 to my high school sweetheart, and we left Wales and went off. Ever heard John Wayne? And my dad used to say this: "Go spread your wings. Go west, young man."
Oh,
Well,
absolutely. I've
that that
yes.
I grew up with that. Look, try anything. Don't be scared of failing, and so on.
I love
So I
that.
I had this, go west, young man. But at the age of 24, I discovered that I'm really bad at geography. I ended up in Africa, so
Oh, wow.
we went
Okay.
south, and so we went for 2 years, and
Uh-huh.
ended up, 14 years later, came back with a complete family. Um, so went back to so I was out of Wales from 84 until 96,
Okay.
and
12 years.
I worked for, some big companies, and one of them was really really big, and my wife was looking out of the garden, and it had been raining nonstop for 6 weeks, and I mean raining. And Wales is famous
Yeah.
for rain.
Yeah.
And she said, "Wouldn't it be nice to go somewhere else?" So I said, "Hey, remember that job in Atlanta? Well, we're going." So we up and left in 2001, and we've been here in
Uh-huh.
Atlanta since then.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
Wow. That's quite I
yeah,
love Atlanta. I've been there a handful of times.
yeah.
I have a question. Do you have me on a phone, or do you have this empowered conversations coming through another? Because I can hear myself echoing somewhere,
Hey, let me just check. I
like
do
if you
not
close out
believe so.
Facebook on
Um,
like your phone or computer.
No, it shouldn't be. I'll tell you what we're going to do here, and this is stuff that we didn't know a year ago. Um,
So much. But
so
boy, have we
um,
evolved because we're all like so used to these streaming services, Zoom and StreamYard. And
okay, so just give me a moment while
okay, so Siobhan says she can't hear any echoes, but I was hearing myself echo on your end.
what I'm going to do. I'm going to just put a headset in, so that should avoid that. Okay, I can hear myself. Is the echo gone?
Let me see. Let me talk. Whoop, whoop, whoop. I hear
Whoop,
no
whoop,
echo.
whoop.
Fantastic. That's great.
Fantastic. See, hey, 18 months ago, we didn't know that.
I know. There's so much we had no idea of. So Malcolm, at the very beginning, I just my point here is to have like a really deep, in-depth conversation about a sharing about my guest through my guest.
Mm,
And my number one question I ask each person is like, what, and there's a series of answers. I'm sure it's not just one answer. Like, what all within your life, throughout your life, you know, brought you what experiences, epiphanies had, revelations realized, what all occurred in your life that brought you to what it is and your why of how you're being this this coach, this business coach, this
mm.
entrepreneur, this person who's out here in service to others. What all transpired in your life to bring you to where you are today?
And thank you. Yeah, and if I could look at the most recent change that I've made, it's a very simple thing. And this was back in 2013, where for the third time I'd walked away from the corporate world, you know,
Mhm.
the six-figure income and whatever. And I advised everyone, if you think about it, just pause. Sometimes I jump and afterwards.
Mhm.
I was back in the UK. My father had been in hospital, and luckily, as it was when I was there, he came out. But I had chance to see how many different medications he was on and what he was going through. He'd always suffered with chest issues, you know,
Mhm.
asthma and so on. But this got really acute later in life, and I made my decision there is that, and don't get me wrong, I am, you know, I tell people I may be anti-corporate, but I'm not anti-paycheck. I'm not that dumb
Right.
anymore. Um,
Yeah. Money is energy, and money creates freedom.
exactly, and you
It's
you
all
go
about
with
it's
what
all
you
about
need to
how
do.
you look.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I
mindset.
knew at that point I wanted to create a working lifestyle for myself, and I'd done this in the
Mhm.
past, where I had freedom and flexibility, and it was all on my shoulders. And um, over the years, that I came out of engineering, I
Mhm.
went into sales and marketing, really because I saw a friend arrive in a new car one day, and I said, "Hey, you know, what's with the car?" And he said, "Oh, I got a job in sales." I said, "They give you a car?" He said, "Yeah."
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I got a sales job, and they gave me a car, so that was good. And I progressed, you know, over a couple of years into sales management and national sort of management and so on. But it was always about the individuals, and the company's success is always about bringing many individuals together and teaming
Mhm.
and developing people. And many years ago, I heard a sort of a Chinese proverb that says, if you want to feed yourself for a year, grow crops. If you want to feed yourself for 10 years, grow a tree. If you want to feed yourself
Mhm.
for life, grow people. And I always found it very rewarding, because I had a big interest in self development and Zig
Mhm.
Ziglar and things like this,
Mhm.
of identifying people that had the same ambition, had the same energy and thirst for getting on and being successful. So I've always been good at spotting people and seeing the potential that maybe was a little bit below their, you know, below the surface with them. So I suppose it's a selfish sort of kick that I get or had and still get out of seeing people come out
Right.
and overcome where they are and begin to start to grow. So hopefully I didn't, you know, get too much around, you know, off the target there. But in that
No, not at all.
2013, I said, right, I'm done. I was working with a company that was great. Loved
Mhm.
them to bits. We got on
Mhm.
well. I traveled internationally. They paid me well and things like this. And I actually went back as a development coach for them, for the sales team, and worked with a few individuals and a couple of managers. And, you know, just it was an outside set of eyes, and it worked well. Um, but I knew that was my path. I wasn't going back to the corporate world. And
Right.
sometimes it can be appealing, but
Mhm. Of course, because of the safety. But so did you experience some, like, some loss or something negative or something
mm,
hurtful in the corporate world, which, like, which told you, like, "Okay, enough,"
no,
or
no.
no?
I
Okay,
think, look,
okay.
and I worked for four in this one specific industry. And if you imagine, if you want to put beer in a bottle or water
Mhm,
in a bottle or beans in a can or wherever, you need a whole sort of automated factory to do that. So that was what I did. I did it hands on, applied the equipment, controlled the machines and everything like
mhm,
that. And then I went into working for manufacturers that made the components for that. So I had some very big customers. I won't go into names, but some of the biggest food companies and car companies and diamond mining companies
yeah,
on earth and so on. And I always saw that it wouldn't take much to take the automation of processes where people were being sort of weeded out in the
I
sake of
excuse me.
efficiencies,
Mhm,
that it wouldn't take much to step into the consumer world and start affecting people in offices. And then the reason I came here to the US for work in one of these big companies, and it was all about globalization.
Mhm.
This company was in 194 countries,
Mhm.
and it was my job to connect the dots between the companies on behalf of the customers. So if projects would, they would span in different regions of the world, they would run more efficiently. And I still always believes like it's not going to be far away before people in mainstream and offices are going to see the effect of the globalization. So all of these
Mhm.
things coming together, seeing how sick my dad was, and he said to me, like, don't go down this path. And we come from a very wellness oriented
Mhm.
factory family
Family.
so it was sad to see him go in that way. And he was a shadow
Mhm.
of what he used to be. He was a very, vibrant, sort of strong man. And he said, look, don't go this path. So, and look after your mother, all the things that
Mhm.
you would expect. So that really said, look, I'm early 50s. I'm done. Okay. I'm gonna start living life on my own terms. The kids were growing
Mhm.
up, nearly finishing college and everything like that. So that was kind of behind us. And then I thought, all right, what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to get back to what I've always believed in, working with people to help them achieve their potential. And if I do it right,
Yes.
I can achieve my own potential. I can achieve my empowerment on my own terms. And
Yes.
then if I do it right, I can do it in other countries and I can get the tax man to pay for that.
Yeah.
So,
My
so,
daddy was a tax man. My daddy was
oh yeah.
State Revenue Department here in North
Okay.
Carolina.
So I went back to my life's goals then as well. See the world, have somebody else pay for it, and
Yeah.
I make sure all my taxes are sorted out and everything like that. But
I have a
but it's
question real quick.
freedom. Yeah.
Do you watch Schitt's Creek?
I do.
When
It's great.
David's like, it's a tax write-off. Well, who do you think pays for it? Nobody. They write it off. Like that's one of the best scenes in the whole series. But anyway,
And
yeah, I cut you off.
yeah, no, that's fine. And sometimes you need to cut me off and give
I
me a
love
slap or
him.
whatever. I'm from Wales. Our national, sport is talking to people. So
Yeah,
it's,
yeah.
so yeah, so I've been busy with this now since 2013.
Mhm,
Alas, my dad passed away just after I started the company, and that really gave me
mhm.
a kick in the pants as well, because then I needed to pay attention to mom and
Right,
make sure I was successful here and
right.
I could afford the time elsewhere. And it's yeah, there's been up and down, but like any entrepreneur, anybody stepping out, they'll say, look,
Absolutely.
you'll learn things along the way. And this is what I speak from a point of experience. I'm old enough now, and I'm blonde enough because blondes have more fun. I always wanted to be
Yeah,
one, and
even though I'm not
um,
blonde. I used
it,
to be blonde. I've been blonde a lot in my life.
yeah,
Oh, yeah, very light white blonde. Oh, yeah.
you know, so I'm skin is the
I have
tone.
fun regardless, though.
So the thing I do now is that when I work with people, I can relate to an awful lot of the things that they're going through. Either it's been, they've left a job that they've been in for 10, 15 years and
Mhm,
they were the fantastic employee, their boss loved
mhm,
them, and then one
mhm.
day a guy came in with a pencil and said, "Hey, you're an overhead, you cost too much, away you
Right,
go." And people struggle to adapt to that. They question
right.
their self-worth.
Mhm.
But for many, it can be the biggest opportunity. It's like,
Yes.
what would you want to do?
Right,
And
right. There's a saying or like a quote, "Let your vocation be your vacation."
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I'm I'm a I'm a bit of a voyeur as well.
Mhm,
So when I came to this country, I started looking, and I could see an awful lot of things were outsourced. You know, convenience meals.
mhm.
Feeding people. I know so many households that had a beautiful kitchen because it was beautiful because it was never used. So that was affecting their diet. Education was
Yes.
outsourced to somebody else. Um, you know, they could send the kids to school, they could send them off to college, they could pay their way out of things.
Mhm.
They could go to work, and it was. stress-free. This is why 60% of the people used to be like, just coasting or wherever. Hey, I'm
Right.
coffee,
On
nice toilet paper. Hey, I don't have to worry, and
on autopilot, and yeah.
yeah,
And
and
then
it all got
something happens
taken
and
away.
rocks their world, and they haven't developed the skills to go, okay, well, now what can I do? What is a solution?
Mhm.
How can I move forward?
And many, just continue doing what they've always done,
Mhm,
and it used to be networking. But hey, I know a
mhm,
buddy works here. Well, that buddy is equally as worried about being out where you are than you are.
right,
So introducing somebody else is risk. So it's not always that easy. Um, people are applying online, they're sending in their resumes, and wherever some computer is screening out words that they haven't got the
exactly,
buzzword. Yeah, but
buzzwords.
and if anyone can tell me ageism doesn't creep into that, well, then I probably won't believe them. And people are just constantly doing the same thing, and
Mhm,
not getting results. And I can relate to some horror stories where I've been close to it, and friends that have been senior in companies, the job's been taken away. The ego kicks in that they won't
mhm,
accept anything with a lesser title. People get emotionally connected, thinking their worth
right,
is
is
the little
tied
name tag they have on the door,
to what
instead
they
of
do.
exactly what they can do for others.
Mhm,
So, one case in particular was a friend went through this, and we used to keep in touch. We'd have lunch and wherever, and I could see his habits were creeping in. He was maybe drinking a little bit too much and other things
mhm,
or whatever. Then the health deteriorated, and the stress was still there, and the denial, and blah blah. And next thing, it led to a blood infection, and it killed him quickly. And
wow,
you could see the gradual progression and spiral down, and there were three little words that created it, and or letters: ego. In men,
mhm,
it's a killer, and they just need to
mhm,
suck it up, learn that there is opportunity if they get out of their own way. Failure is
absolutely.
normal, but people are they've when they've outsourced their careers to others, that failure seems to get factored out.
Years ago, my very first book idea was "Get Out of Your Way." And there's actually a book, "Get Out of Your Own Way," that's already written, but that's before I even knew that book. Like, get out of your way. We most oftentimes are in our own ways from, like you said, fear of failure, or not fear of success. So what are you allowing to block you from making decisions that are gonna really, really blossom the fulfillment that enable yourself to have by making different choices, or just allowing yourself to even understand what it is you want and why you want what you want.
And and you nail it there in as much as the differences between men and women are, first off, women are the ultimate multitasker. They
Yeah.
are men grow up with this machismo that has to be enforced. Hey, you fall over, you get a scratch on your leg. Oh, rub it, you'll be fine, or whatever.
Yeah.
Men internalize these things. So for many, not all of them, but for many, and we can observe the behaviors that when there is big trauma that comes into life, and they say there's three really dramatic things can happen in life: marriage,
Mhm.
divorce,
Mhm.
moving home, or moving a job. Okay, that's four.
Mhm.
Um, and when these things happen involuntary, there's a
Right.
natural sense of losing control. Then
Yeah.
the safety goes. And then we start getting back to all like, this questioning. Look, there's all the pressure on me. Well, how can I smooth over this? Then the abuse comes in. It's either
Mhm.
in the family, it's relationships, or it's self-imposed.
Yeah.
People drink and other things. So I always believe I always been athletic and played sport at a very good level and so on. The one thing that I was excited about is I was going to have the time in the mornings or wherever, instead of fighting my way through the traffic, I could go out and run,
Yeah.
or I could go to the gym, because I knew if I kept myself well and I kept my mental acuity in the right place, then I would show up in the best way to be able to convince other people. Look, I'm an example. This is what
Absolutely.
I do. If it's of interest, we can work together. And
100%.
instead of showing up all unkempt, overweight, looking tired, lethargic, hey,
Right.
I'm an example of what you could be.
Abso-freaking-lutely.
Some point, yeah.
Abso-freaking-lutely. And we all collectively, worldwide, had the chance during 2020 to come to that mindset of, okay, well, now my gym's closed. Well, it wasn't, okay, I guess I'm just going to sit on the couch and watch TV, watch Tiger King. Yeah, I watch Tiger King, but figure out, like, okay, you do YouTube videos. There's still there, where there's a will, there's a way. And just because, this was no longer apparent in your life didn't mean that you could still, because again, what was the end result? The end result was, I want to be healthy. I want to still work out. I want to still, fuel my body healthily. I still want to have this reality. All right. Well, so now I have to, make a left turn instead of a right turn to create. And how am I going to, what new things am I going to allow myself to embrace to still continue with that reality? It's just like I travel a lot. And just because I travel, like, I'll take 5 bags of my food, because it's like, just because I'm traveling, I'm still going to the gym. I'm still doing what my daily routine, just because I'm in a different place, doesn't mean that my daily routine, is sacrificed. I always find a way because of what is important. And at the end of the day, for my life, my health is important. My happiness is important. Me being in control of creating joy and health is important. So I find a way to still keep that in my life, regardless of where I am or what I'm doing.
And
But that's a mindset. That's a mindset.
you got it. And I used to run a lot, and I ended up, I was running with some shoes that began with an N, and they didn't do
Yeah.
good for my knees. So then somebody told me about a shoe that began with an A, and it was an
Uh-huh.
acronym: Anima Sane Incorpore Sano. I think it was a healthy
Okay.
body through a healthy mind, and I tapped into that. And
Healthy
I
body.
used to,
Well, I'm gonna put
whenever I
that in
was
the chat.
traveling, I always had my running shoes with me. And for me, a treat would be to get out early in the morning when it was still dark, and then see the city come to light, see the cities wake up and the traffic start to move, and things like that. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Mhm.
At working day ahead or wherever. And, you know, so many, it was comfortable to, hey, it's like I don't have to worry about my commute. I'm working from home now. I'm downstairs. All right, my job's gone away, but it's temporarily. I'm just downstairs, get into the basement,
Mhm.
put the TV on. I can veg out for an hour, and that becomes 2 hours. And then there's a show I want to watch, and I haven't seen the tiger thing, so I must make a
That
note
was
of
like
that.
the number one show right as the pandemic was
Yeah.
starting. Everybody was shut in their homes, and Tiger King, and those people are actually famous.
Mhm.
Like, they're out and about all, in various places around the world. People are like, oh, like in a certain accent.
Yeah.
This guy was explaining that he was over in uh, uh, Ireland, and somebody's like, "Oh, Tiger King, Tiger King,"
Yeah.
yeah, and it's like, and he's like, "Oh my god," and so it's just funny.
Yeah.
It's a crazy documentary.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
We,
crazy
we've got
documentary, but I enjoyed it. I mean, I was entertained.
you're saying that brings to mind, my mind goes off in a bit like Homer Simpson. Every now and then it goes off in a
Ah,
different direction. We've got this. We'd call it a bedspread in the old country, but here I think it's a comforter on the
we
top of
call
the
it
bed.
bedspread, and we also have comforters as well.
Oh, okay. So,
Yeah.
and this was the first thing that I learned to say when I arrived was, I heard what you said. Tell me what you mean. And because I think it was Churchill or Mark Twain said, Britain and America are two countries separated by a common language. And this bedspread,
Uh-huh.
we used to live in Africa. The thing to see there is the big five, elephants,
Okay.
rhinos,
Oh, yeah.
lions, buffaloes, and so on. And there's obviously this bedspread doesn't come from Africa. It comes from China because there's a tiger on there. So there's no tigers in Africa. So every time we have people to stay, I said, look, we
No,
know if
yeah.
you're observant. So it just got me thinking a little bit about that. But you know, we have a responsibility, I think,
Mhm.
to be the best we can, to show up,
Yes.
and where we're living a life through adaptive behavior, whether it's under stress for whatever reason, whether
Mhm.
it's somebody else wants us to do these things, we have to do this job I don't like because I've got these kids in
Bills to
school,
pay,
or
yeah.
I've got these bills to
Mhm.
pay, or wherever like that. You know, life isn't lived to its fullest then. It's
Exactly.
and then I'm sure you're familiar with Les Brown.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, and he has something that struck me years ago. He says that the problem in America, and I suppose in the Western world, isn't that people aim too high and miss, is that they aim too low and they
And I
hit.
and they hit it.
And
Mhm.
this is where this sense of comfort comes in, and this is where
Yeah.
this sense of outsourcing, and I'm not going to rock the boat and wherever like that.
Mhm.
And we're not really, I believe, doing our experience on earth justice by
I agree.
testing ourselves. We shouldn't always, and I have many conversations with people, and I ask them sort of different things. And one I like to ask people is that, okay, here you are now, you've been playing golf and you're at the 18th tee, and there's a big lump of water. It's a par three, and there's all the people in the clubhouse watching or wherever. What are you going to do? You're going to take the ball and you're going to hit over the water, and maybe come in for a birdie,
Mhm.
and everybody's going to go, way. Or you're going to lay up short because you're scared of hitting the ball into the water, and you're maybe going to come in for a four. And
Right.
just that is, people will say, "Oh no, no, I'll play up short because I'm awful at golf and wherever like that."
Yeah.
But instead of, no, go for it. It's only a blooming golf ball. You can get another one, and who cares what people think about you? They don't pay your bills. They don't live your life for you. They don't.
Right.
They're not involved in your relationships. Don't try and live vicariously through people that you don't like. And
Exactly.
and Dave Ramsey said one thing, and as I was in 2001, I was a absolute sponge, pulling in all culture and everything. And
Yeah.
I remember him saying something. He said, America is the only country in the world where people borrow money they can't afford to pay back to buy a car they don't like to impress people that they also don't like.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought that was so
And
poignant.
and it's like, where in society do we learn to settle for mediocrity, and that is where our comfort zone is, or where comfort lies? And it's like the settling, just the settling
Mm,
is where where you're losing,
yeah.
where you're actually losing. Whereas if you just did something different or embrace the what could be possible for you, because
Mhm.
what's possible for you may not be possible for me, but what's possible for me may not be possible for this other person. But it doesn't matter. It's like, don't compare yourself to others. And what are the infinite? I have that bumper sticker on my car. What are the infinite possibilities? What are the infinite possibilities?
If I can go back to the question you asked me about, the why and the motivator, spending time there with my father. That was the last
Hmm.
time I saw him. He passed away shortly afterwards. Um, I was thinking of, as we naturally do, of our own mortality.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, I know that there were things that he'd always wanted to do. He did a lot. He traveled a lot. He wasn't an educated man, but he was one of the smartest guys I knew. And he was he was a giving person. He would help
Yeah.
anyone. And he was I grew up in a pub, and he could add up numbers like nobody's business on the fly, talking, and he knew exactly what your bar bill was going to be.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't lose track of it. He'd always used to say, beer and money don't mix, okay, because it's all about business. And I think that mortality, the self-mortality part of it, and thinking there, I know he lived a good life. I know he was married to my mother for well over 60 years and wherever. He was, he would he would say he was proud of me, and he would tell me he loved me,
Yeah.
and I make sure that my 3 boys and my wife know these things from me to them. So this
That is yes. That's
this
beautiful.
sense of mortality, and right, I owe it to myself and those around me to
Mhm.
rise as much as I can to my potential without the fear of failing. Because if I fail, I'm gonna play that ball short, and I'm worried about what other people think.
Right.
So, and I've kept small countries alive with the amount of balls I've lost in the water.
And what you're also doing by showing up authentically like that is you're giving other people permission to do that for themselves.
Yeah,
And in
and
hopes that, that resonates.
and I would encourage anyone. Look, I'm a coach. If somebody wants to learn how to play tennis better, they get a coach, and then
Mhm.
somebody watches them, observes, and then gives them things to work on and practice. And that's exactly what we do. Life coaches do this. I'm a business coach, as happens to be.
Mhm.
Now, I learned in the beginning, even though I was good at what I did, and
Mhm.
companies had 3
Mhm.
companies moved me across the Atlantic 3 different times. I'm good at what I did. Um, when I went out on my own, and it wasn't the first business I'd ever started, and I'd been successful before, but things were a little bit different, and my ego kicked in, and I can do it myself. I should have
Mhm.
got a coach much sooner
Right.
to work with me. I had friends and wherever, but your friends are going to say, "Oh no, you're wonderful. You're doing great. It'll all be okay," or whatever. You need
Right.
somebody to show up and say, "Look,
Yes.
no,
Hold you
I'll be
accountable.
friendly, but I'm not your friend. I can't want it more than you. You were going to do it. I'm going to, together we're going to come up with the plan."
Mhm.
And so I would encourage anyone, if they want to get good at something, suck it up. Get the ego out of the way,
Mhm.
understand that the cost of the solution is
Yes.
far less than the cost of the problem, because the problems
Yes.
continue.
Mhm. Mhm.
So whether you want to get better at golf, whether you want to get better at tennis, or whether your business or your relationships, your love life, you're learning how to knit or wherever,
Mhm.
work with somebody.
Einstein has a saying, "You cannot create a solution from the same place the problem was created." So, in essence, there's this problem. If you exist and just dwell on the problem, you have to move outside of it to, come up with a solution.
Exactly.
Yes.
And
And go ahead.
and it's and sometimes we can, we've all heard it said, we can't see the trees because we're too close to the wood or something.
Yeah,
Um,
we're too busy focusing. We can't see the forest for the trees. We're
Myopic.
too
Yeah.
busy,
Mm,
focusing on the tree instead of seeing
yeah.
the grand of the forest.
Now, if you think of a coach as another set of eyes, somebody
Mhm.
that's observing, looking over your shoulder, and not so much telling you not to do things, but having you understand that what you did maybe wasn't the right thing to do at that time or circumstance. Don't throw it away. Don't discount it. Just push it to
Right.
one side after
Right.
you've tried it, run it to death, and run it to ground or wherever. So that you've proven it doesn't work. Right, I'm going to adapt. And
Mhm.
if you think back to the what you know the things that the Marines are taught, adapt and
Mhm.
overcome.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
It doesn't mean, oh, give up and,
Right.
go home. It's no, we're in this.
Right. Take your ball and go home.
Yeah, that's right. And so many would think, well, I'll try it for a little while, and if it doesn't work, I'll go back to the corporate world, or I'll go back to doing this, I'll go back to doing that. They've begun to fail already because they're
Right.
micro quitting.
Exactly. Thinking about what could go wrong or what may go wrong or what the possibility of what could go wrong. And then all you're doing is blocking yourself instead of, again, focusing. And I mean, it's easy to say and not, oh, it's easy. It's so easy for, but again, it takes practice. Anything. It's just like you said, if you want to learn how to play tennis,
Mm,
you got to be out there practicing playing tennis and hiring a tennis coach. If you want to get nice and physically fit, you don't just go to the gym once. You go
yep.
to the gym 4 to 6 days a week. You maybe hire a personal trainer, or you watch workout videos, or you learn, you teach yourself. And that's with anything in life. That's with yeah, we have our natural born, talents, but that doesn't mean that still with that it takes work. Like Michael Jordan wasn't born boom, boom, perfect basketball player. He was born with those innate talents and that innate desire, but he still practiced every single day to hone in on his craft to get better and better and better.
And that's
And that's mindset.
yeah, and therein lies what the value of a coach or an advisor can
Yes.
do.
Hmm.
At an early age, I played a very high level of rugby. I didn't want to play rugby. I got dragged off the basketball court at the age of like 13.
Yeah.
The coach at my high school in Wales just happened to be the Welsh rugby team captain, and he played
Hmm.
for the British Isles. This guy kind of walked on water. And he said, "No, Evans, you're coming out here." And he dragged me out. Literally, I had white shoes on, for being indoors. And I went out into a muddy field. And I, oh, Mr. Price, my mother, he said, "You send your mother to me if she doesn't like." And this was the old days when people, oh, yeah, if you saw it,
Right.
you'd go there. That's why we send you to school. And he always instilled something in it. The rugby is a game that's similar to football,
Hmm.
a little bit
Hmm.
different. But
I'm very familiar. Yeah.
the cornerstone of what rugby is about is go forward. You never
Hmm.
ever retreat. You go forward.
I love
Um,
that.
you can't tackle in certain ways. You have to go forward. You have to work with a team or whatever. And I've adapted that. I've never gone back if I've left a company or whatever, for whatever reason. I've never ever been fired or anything like that. It's always
Good for
been out
you.
of choice. But I've
Yeah.
always chose never to go back. For me, that's defeatist. And I think it was instilled in me in such a way. Look, there is more. It's almost like Lewis and Clark. There's more over there. Just
Yeah.
just keep
Yeah.
going.
Yeah. I wanted to say we have some comments over here, and they are from YouTube because we're streamed live through YouTube, my YouTube channel, my personal page, and then the DFLNY group, D for Rick and Licious and you. And we've got somebody from somebody Higher King. Well, no, I think he's got a crown. Okay, and he says hi, and then he asks, "Are you the author of International Law School Book?" No. He said
No.
he says he was looking for an audiobook and he came across this live on YouTube.
Well,
And
there
then
there are
yeah.
a few Malcolm Evans out there. One is a
Okay, all right.
Cambridge professor. One is a
Okay.
football player. One's a rap star. One's an axe murderer. And then there's poor old me in Atlanta
And
as the
one's the most
coach.
fabulous person, yeah, who's a fabulous business coach. So we got a Jordan Church here.
Mhm.
He says, "So powerful, stat, funny, and Malcolm need their own TV show." Yeah, thank you, Jordan. That's
Mhm.
done and done.
Yeah.
Sign me up. That I like the emoji with holding up the hands. Sign me up.
No, with full disclosure here, I know Jordan.
Oh, Jordan.
Yeah, he's one of my clients, and I've become a friend
Love
over the
it.
years. He's a great guy, and there's three things that people. I spoke of this earlier. Career, their health to be able to work on wherever, and then it's relationship part.
Mhm.
Jordan is a relationship coach. For the last 20 years, he's been a professional matchmaker, and I always joke with him.
Ooh, nice.
He's probably responsible for more babies than Barry White. So he's bringing people together, and
Not personally, but
oh
by
no,
bringing
no, no,
people
he's
together.
not. No,
I need to have Jordan on my show. I need to have Jordan on Empowered Conversations.
and you'd love him. He's got a heart as big as a small state or wherever, and
Oh, I love it.
he's seen what the impact has been of somebody having a gap in their life.
Right.
And everyone deserves a loving companion. And if one thing that you know we've seen over this last 18 months is people that have been in their basement
Hmm.
have missed the company.
Or their living room.
Yeah, well, I'm in the south. I love my basement. It's like the men, go
The
down
man
there.
cave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so he's an example of taking his passion, and he
Hmm.
used to work with companies, and then he decided I want to break out and do his own. Can I give him a plug? It's
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've already said I would like to have him on my show.
matchbyjordan.com.
Match
And
by Jordan.
yeah, matched,
MAT.
MATCHED, and he's got this great little sort of quiz out there. It's a little bit tongue in cheek, but it brings so much insight into what people are looking for. Where to put the attention to help them with their relationships. And I was going to make note of it here. It's called Insights, INZITES
Okay.
.co. Takes 4 minutes to do it, and what that does, it it's so powerful in as much as it gives him perspective of what that person is looking for. You asked me what my why was. It just in that
Yes.
small quiz, it draws attentions to people's why.
I
And
love that.
simplicity is where the key is in anything, any changes we want to make. So
Right.
mm,
And because I'm a mindset life coach and health coach myself, and I have a course, Empower Your Mind, Empower Your Life, and Create Some Healthy, Delicious Dishes. And that is the core of what I am like. What's your why? What do you want? Why do you want what you want? Like, who are you? And it's because you don't know why you want something until you know who you are.
mm.
And you have to discover, like self-discovery is the greatest gift that you can give yourself. That creates a byproduct of that is emotional intelligence.
And
And again, you know, knowing what you want, knowing why you want it.
well, Simon Sinek made a whole career out of that, just
Simon Sinek's
asking,
amazing.
people don't want to know what you do, they want to know why
Know
you
why
do
you
it.
do it. Yes.
And
Yes.
it's a little known fact, and I was in the same room as Simon Sinek at one time.
Wow. So tell
And
me about that. Tell me about that experience.
well, there was me and 5,000 other people, but it was still a room.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I had that experience with Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
And he actually came over and reached up and with a very long white stick above
Mhm.
a banister, reached up and shook my hand.
Oh, see?
Passed by 200 people and
Yeah.
went right up to me, and we, and it was like it was one of the wildest, most amazing experiences because I
So,
have such revere and respect.
so Mr. Robbins, like myself, can see potential in people. Can see maybe that was a time it was just maybe hadn't come out to where you are now, and the explosive personality that you are, and
Yeah.
and one thing, my parents were great. We lived up in a, a gentleman said one time, he said, we weren't dirt poor, we were just dusty. Um,
Right.
and we were okay. We got
Yeah.
by, but
Yeah.
where we
Right
lived
here.
and so
Yep.
on. But real
Hmm.
loving family, and my mother passed away a couple of years ago now, and got very close to her, close to the end, and so on. And I was visiting back in Wales with her, and she paid me the biggest compliment anyone ever had. And I know, it's my mom, but
Yeah.
she said, and this got me thinking, just the power of, and I see what you do, is that she said, when you enter the room, people smile. It's like putting a light on.
Yeah.
And if we can be just that little bit of light in someone's life and some inspiration, and this is
Yes.
not saying it's any grandiose, we're better than
Right,
anybody.
right. No, 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 exactly.
We've all got something that we can contribute
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
to society as a whole. We've all got something that we can help
Absolutely.
fill a small hole with someone, help somebody see something that they maybe might not have seen before, and it's that butterfly effect. They go on and do things, to better them their situation or whatever.
Mhm.
And I've got a I usually finish up a talk with this and wherever, sort of a mantra. And I say, look, be the driver, not a passenger. Be the shepherd, not the
Yes.
sheep. Be a leader, not a follower. Be the light, not a dark in the room. Go forward. Never, ever go back.
I love that.
And if I could remember it every time I give a talk, I usually lose one line along the way. And but I had an intern at one time, and a guy called Thomas from the Czech Republic, and he reached out to me a few years later over LinkedIn or something,
Mhm.
and we'd had many conversations, and I said, "How is it going?" He said, "Great. I'm married. I got 3 children. I started a company. I got out from under my dad's controlling sort of, you know, personality and habit working for him, and I started my own business. I got 300 people working for me." He said, "I just wanted to tell you that you said something to me that really spurred me on." I said, "What's that?" He said, "Be the shepherd, not the sheep."
Mm.
He said, "Be in
Cold
control, don't be
chills.
the follower." And I thought, "Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
realize I'd said anything that sort of I'll take it." But,
I love that. Are you able to, comment?
um,
Well,
I think
you know what, that's quite a long, but what I would like you to do is, when we're done with the broadcast,
yeah.
you'll have access to all of this and just go in and provide that comment because I
Mm.
absolutely love that. And also, with that being said, I wanna talk about your business, like what you're doing, um, your sales accent. Talk a little bit like how like yeah, like talk
Well,
about that.
there's always a story with something, and
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
life is more engaging with stories. And this, I came out of a world of sales.
Mhm.
I worked with the Germans for many, many years,
The
and so
Germans.
the approach to sort of business was in the Teutonic world is fit, form, and function. I
Uh-huh,
don't care about
uh-huh.
you as long as what you're selling, if I use it, it doesn't get me into trouble. So
Mhm.
it's things have got to proven to work first. They've got to be
Right.
seen that they can fit and they can function, and then people rely on them. Other places in the world, like here, you maybe get a chance, but hey, don't you drop me, okay? In Britain, it's something in the middle of this. So um, I saw with the need to almost brand myself. I worked with them, took some coaching from a very, very prolific, very known, sales author. And after doing a sort of a certification course with him, he stood me up in the front of the room, gave me my certificate, and gave me a hug and whatever. He said, "Everyone, look, I want you to pay attention here." He said, "Malcolm's done well here. He's got this sort of distinctive British accent." He said, "I know him better than most people. He's dumb as a rock. He's just sounds clever." Okay. He said, "But whatever it is, whatever you show up as,
Yes.
that's what can be the differentiator." And I always say that. Um, Looking attractive, in whichever definition of attractive, or whether it's physical or intellectual or whatever,
Mhm,
um, that's what gets you noticed. That's what gets you in the game. And
mhm.
then what comes out of your mouth and your actions then will keep you in the game. And in the whole
Absolutely.
world of sales, it's all about risk mitigation. If you will
Mhm,
do something
mhm.
and not get me in trouble, So I'm going to look dumb, and my ego is going to be affected. My friends are going to, or my boss is going to think I'm lesser than what I'm trying to
Mhm.
be or wherever. That's a risk. So, and what he said, look, I want everyone to think now, what kind of business could Malcolm create here out of this? And someone said, well, he's in sales, and someone said he's got an accent. Let's pull the sales accent together. And then I said, well,
Oh my God.
what does an accent do? Well, an accent in either from where you're from, that
Mhm.
could be of interest, but
Mhm.
also it can be used in language to emphasize a certain part of a word, or so it can draw attention to something. So I built this brand around that, and people say, "Oh, you speak so nice," and where I said, "Look, I'll take you back to Wales, okay, and
Yeah.
it'll take you 20 minutes to buy gas then as well." Okay. So, and
Right.
I got it from my dad. If people want to talk, I'll talk. Okay. Because
Yeah.
why should we rush? Everyone's got a story. I might learn something from that person
Absolutely.
every day. So,
100%.
so my business morphed out of the pretty much out of the sales training part of it, and working with teams, and I still do that, with teams and leaders and so on. But I'm coming back to the selfish kick. I
Mhm.
love working with people that are the ex corporate person. I don't know what to do. I'd say, well, right, what did you do when you were at this company? Well, I was the VP of this. No, no, what did you do? Well, I led a team. Well, what did the team do? And how
What
did
was the
you
ultimate goal of why you were there for the company?
exactly? And said,
Right.
how did you end up leading that team? Well, I was one of these people and I was really good at it. Well, so they made you a manager because you were good. Yes. What did you do that you were good at? Well, I solved this problem. I said, great. Did that problem, or does it only exist at that company? No, it's a common thing. So it's at other companies and other places. Yes. So
Mhm.
there's the basis of a business. You are a problem solver. Now we just need to articulate that, come up with some branding, and then go and find out where that problem is and engage with the people about solving that problem for them.
Yes.
Could you do that? Well, I think we could, and that's where we start. And I offer two programs. One is the fast track, 100 days of action, where if
Mhm.
we people will follow what we agree we'll do, I will guarantee they will get results, and they'll make money at the end of it. And it's something that we just put a plan in place, we put a process in place. It's predictability, or the goal being profit.
Mhm.
So it's all
Mhm.
about numbers once we get into it. And
Right.
then the second thing I offer is for people that are maybe still in the corporate part but are scared of what's coming.
Right.
They want to
Right.
start to get prepared. I want to do something proactively in the background. I'll offer up a year's worth of coaching. We come at a set price. I'm on demand. My calendar's there. We do it. We agree what the plan should be. Put everything in place in the first week or wherever, and thereafter my calendar is open to them. Or they jump on with 15 or 30 minutes. We
Yeah.
laser focus on something, and then they go off and do it, and then we circle back next time they reach out. And
Now,
it's
can
good.
you provide links as well under the streams, in Defa Rickenlicious and you and my personal page to link for, people to
Yeah,
find you?
and if neverinterviewagain.com is my website. Okay.
Yes, never
So
interview
so
again.
think like that. If somebody has discarded you to save money on their side, why on earth would you want to go work for them again? Why on earth would you want to go through one of these panel interviews where people are scared of making a mistake and hiring somebody, and them putting their career at risk?
Mhm.
This is why they spread the dynamics. And if you start getting me going about sort of shifts in corporate and how people are being discarded, and I've seen
Mhm.
too much of this from the inside. The biggest oxymoron that's out there at the moment, it's not jumbo shrimp, it's HR professional. It's all outsourced, it's all algorithms and AI and wherever like that, and they're sat there. And if we want to hear somebody whinge and complain, go sit next to an HR professional that's lost their job.
Right.
It's a pity parade.
Yeah,
Mm.
I can imagine.
But it's
And we
good.
again, and we all we have our all of us have our innate abilities and talents and skills.
Mhm.
And have you ever also heard that what you enjoyed doing as a child, like really lit you up as a child, is part of your purpose as an adult?
Yep, and and this is where my I tried everything as a kid,
Yeah.
everything, and I
Yeah.
always
I
had a
was batshit
uniform.
multi-passionate. Marie Forleo says that. I love it.
I I was in the Scouts, I was in the Sea
Mhm,
Scouts, I was
mhm,
in, like,
mhm.
with the Air Cadets there. I didn't do the army thing. I was almost like I was a SEAL by the time I was 12. I'd been through all the different disciplines and armed forces. I
Yeah.
could ride a horse, I had motorbikes, and, we lived a and looking back, it was great, so I I I suppose from that, there was the sense that I was, look, you're going to fail at things. You're going to enjoy doing
Mhm.
things. You're going to gravitate towards them, and when you gravitate towards them, you're probably going to be better at them. Um, those are the things that you'll want to do, and those are the
Absolutely.
things that you'll be able to speak from a point of passion and purpose to engage
Yes.
with others. Now,
Mhm.
there's a few things that you don't know about me, Stephanie. Is that
Tell us.
um, I come from a dancing family. My sister was the Welsh ballroom champion, and her daughter was as well.
Oh,
So
wow.
I have three left feet. Okay. And I must have broken my mother's heart, and I didn't want to
Yeah.
follow in that when she was so emotionally connected to it. But I was quite happy, putting sequins on, big dresses with glue and wherever else, whatever they did to help her. I couldn't dance. And then that whole ego thing kicked in. What are my friends going to think? I'm wandering around here with these shiny black shoes on and this blooming bow tie and whatever. No, this is not for me. So that's why I got into, sport and horses and
You know, I love I loved to cook as a child. My mama said I would play restaurant with her.
mhm.
And I also every year I was in the Brownies for 2 years and then Girl Scouts. And every single year I was number 1 at Girl Scout cookie sales. And I remember going to the weekly meetings, and there was at one point where this one girl was ahead of me, but it wasn't like my daddy drove me a house to house every single night after dinner because I was lit up by going knocking on the door. Would you like to buy some Girl Scout cookies? I love doing that. And I just remember like this one girl was ahead of me for a while for a couple weeks because she sent her mother with the sheet to work. And, her mother, like, people would come up, and then once that was done, the little girl, she wasn't going out house to house, and I'm telling you, every year, I was number 1, and I wanted to be number 1, and so, I have been in the corporate world, I have been in B2B sales, I've been in medical device sales, I've been in the operating room selling surgical equipment, and I was also very passionate when I was a little baby, or a little baby, a little like a small kid, into my teenagers. I loved babies, and I remember my mama was watching Donahue. Remember Donahue? It was
Yeah,
like a
I do,
talk
yeah.
show back in the 70s, and I remember going like this woman was having a baby on the show, like actually giving birth. And I remember saying, "Ooh, mama, I wanna be in the OB." She goes, "Oh, you wanna help deliver babies?" I'm like, "No, I wanna be in the room where they are after they're born." She goes, "Oh, you wanna be in the nursery." Well, there was a period of time when I was in medical device sales where I sold into the neonatal, the NICUs. So it's like everything that I was passionate about and excited about as a child did wind up happening for me in my adult life. I was one of the top salespeople at every company I've ever worked for. I was in the NICU, with the
Mhm.
babies, and my love for cooking. My cooking show, Licious, and I'm about to launch my first cookbook, and I'm just yeah. So I mean, it's amazing, like how what you're saying. It's like it really does. If you wake up and pay attention to what
Well,
you really want, and you live your life from that sense of why,
I've
your sense of why.
are these all original recipes, or are you taking suggestions? Because if you're taking suggestions, I was a latchkey kid. Okay,
We were latchkey kids as
Mhm,
well. We had a babysitter
mhm.
that would, my mom and daddy both worked, and yeah.
And if it's not been done, let's collaborate on this cookbook now. Cooking for the latchkey kids, if they still exist. I could open a can of beans and make toast when I was like 8. I could cook an
I
omelet
would
when I was 9.
well, see, but see, Defa-Rickin-Licious is all about healthy food with a big, my cooking show is all about a, big old splash of humor,
Yeah,
but the cookbook, it's like I'm wanting to empower people again. Healthy is a
yeah.
mindset, a healthy body, and that healthy food is delicious, but you have to choose to see it that way. And it doesn't have to be whole wallet. It doesn't have to be, really treacherous to prepare. And that's what I do through Defa Rickalicious. And but yeah, I mean, like I would collaborate on a
Mm.
second cookbook, so
There could be a
yeah.
door with a piece of string and a key.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly,
those
latchkey, but
those
it'd have to
hungry
be,
kids.
again, healthy cooking because, like,
Yeah.
back when we were kids, we didn't I ate the typical young person diet, which was McDonald's, which was cookies and candy and just macaroni and cheese, that Kraft macaroni and cheese, mom and daddy I was so glad that they actually did, it forced us to eat vegetables because I have
Yeah.
a greater appreciation for them as an adult. But it's like, but then in my 20s is when I started to have those undesirable physical consequences, aesthetically speaking. I was like, I don't think so. And, got in the gym, and that's where I started to develop the mindset around, about eating healthy. But then I learned through a subscription to Cooking Light magazine how to, and then I've come up with my own recipes. And yeah, as long as we're providing the kids with a healthy food.
Again, I can speak from experience.
Yeah.
When I was 10, I was heavy, and I'm moving from school to school, and we moved around a couple of different places,
So
like
did we,
20,
yeah.
30 miles, and so I was often a new kid at school, and obviously at
Mhm.
Target and wherever, and I got my
Mhm.
ass kicked a lot or
Mhm.
whatever,
Uh-huh.
and
Well, I don't know about my ass kicked, but I
and and,
certainly was
and
picked
then I
on.
got into sport, and
Yeah.
then I learned about being physically fit, and then being
Mhm.
mentally fit, hit the
Mhm.
gym, and from
Mhm.
the age of 16 to, I would say, 30, I was in the gym regularly every week. I played rugby at quite a high
Yeah.
level, and this is where, you know, if we look back at our lives, what is rich and rewarding is the people we come across and the people that the
Mhm.
paths we cross. And one,
Even if there's pain associated with the interaction with that person, there's always a silver lining, a gift in the experience if you choose to see it that way.
And we've got went to a neighbor's birthday party the other day. He's 99. Okay, and he was a pilot in the
Oh, I
Second
love it.
World War. The stories he could tell or whatever. Um, when I was 20, I went to probably one of the top rugby clubs in the world. It
Mhm.
was from the town where my father's family was from, so he knew lots of people there. He knew the coach. You weren't going to get a shoe in there or wherever. So I had to work, and I got in, but I got a gap, and I remember him pulling me out in a scrimmage, let's call it that,
Yeah.
one evening, and the people on the field around me all represented the country or the nation. And this is not just Wales, this
Yeah.
could be Britain or
Right.
wherever.
Yeah.
He dragged me aside, and shouted out in front of all of these people. He said, "You are not physically fit. It's not my job to get you fit. Everybody else here is fit. It's my job to see how you all play together and bring out,
Mhm.
if there's anything inside you, to the surface so you can all work together." And from there on, and I thought I was doing okay. I kicked it up a gear. I was in the gym 6 nights a week, and I could hold my own then. Maybe not in talent, but I could certainly hold my own physically, and running, and and the other things. And often it takes a kick in the pants or a bit of embarrassment to. That's what Tony Robbins does. He breaks the momentum.
Abso-freaking-lutely.
He
Or a
drops
pull out
you.
the rug from under you situation.
Yeah, and
And I've
often
yeah.
we can't. If you imagine somebody working in a job for 20 years, great employee, something happens, they pulled away, they start to second guess themselves or whatever, and they slide into things. It's almost like the boiling frog or whatever, raise the temperature of the water.
Ah, yes.
A slap along the way can
Yeah.
arrest that and say, look, you've got to
Yeah.
wake up, because this is the trajectory you're going on. Like, sadly, that friend of mine went all the way down or wherever.
Right.
Stop now. Go do something different.
Thank
Go follow your dreams, your passions, your pursuits, or whatever
Right.
like that. Give it a go. Live life. This could be the best
Yes.
thing that's happened. And I'm actually on my website, on the services page there, neverinterviewagain.com. There's some documents on there which people can download, and one of them is losing your job could actually be the best thing that ever happened to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's an assessment out
Absolutely.
there, a
Mhm.
4-minute quiz, right? It's what do I want to do in my career? What's the impact that this is happening in my life? So there's a whole bunch of different resources out there, and they're free. Go, but there could be
I
some
was
ideas out there that can trigger somebody to go off into a direction or try something, or So
I was literally talking about that very thing, and one of my girlfriends made that very comment when I was at the beach,
mm.
and absolutely, 100%. Well,
So let me
yeah, go
ask
ahead.
you
Yes,
a question. So
yes, please do.
what got you into this? Well, you've got a powerful message. You're a compelling. You have a a, a great voice. Okay,
Thank you. Wow, thank
and
you.
it's intriguing. People want to listen because it is unique, and your message is one of empowerment. Your message is one of, look, come on, you can do this
Oh,
if you
absolutely.
try. If
Right.
you don't try, you'll never ever do anything. So what was the one or two things that got you into doing what you want to do now?
It's not just one or two things. It is a lifelong experience. And a lot of it's painful.
Hmm.
There's a lot of painful experiences. I was one of those children who was picked on as a kid quite often. Very hurtful. But again, I don't, and let me first say, I don't see myself as a victim of
No.
anything I've ever gone through. I'm a
Mm.
victor. I don't, um, I don't regret any decision that I've made. My whole life has taught me, um, what is possible and that I am possible. And I'm not going to get too much into details because I'm
Yeah.
writing an autobiography.
Good.
The autobiography is literally titled, the emoji that's like this? It's like blue and yellow.
Yeah.
The title of my autobiography is What the Fuck?
Yeah.
F asterisk CK. A hilarious account of all the bullshit I've been through and some other fabulous life happenings. And I am telling my life story, but at the end of the day, it is through my life and what I've learned again about myself and what I want for the world, what I want for people is what I have for myself.
Mm.
It's not about being happy all the time. I'm not happy all the time. I've had the
Mm.
rug pulled out from under me, more times than but again, I'm not a victim. I'm a victor. And what did I learn? And what did I overcome? And then what did I then create from said experience? And that's how I look at it. And that's what I want to empower others because I have been, okay, hurt people, happy people don't. And a lot of hurt people have hurt me.
Mm.
And it's kind of
Oh.
like, huh?
We could talk for hours about this.
Exactly. And that's
In
why I don't want to like get into because again,
yeah.
it's going to be in my autobiography, but again, it's not that I hate these people and but they've taught me what to do, what not to do, and how not to treat others. And again, hurt people hurt people.
Yep, and to that point, I sold a house one time,
Yeah.
and it was, we were the FISBO people, sales by owner and so on, and we dealt with some people, and they had certain negotiation sort of trays about them, the way they went about it, and after it all gone over, and successfully we sold the house and whatever like that. And my wife said, "Why'd you put up with those things?" Because
Right.
they were not being the that wasn't normal. And I said,
Mhm.
"No, but those people were from somewhere else. Now,
Mhm.
what is culturally acceptable in where they grew up, they felt they needed to pass it on." So,
Right.
not taking the eye off the goal, our goal was to sell the house. Our
Mhm.
goal was to move on, liberate that cash and then move into something else that we wanted to do and continually grow and wherever. I wasn't going to let small things
Yeah.
like the baggage they're carrying, because now they went away. It was agreeable. They felt they win. I was quite happy, and I'd said to her when I was in sales or wherever, and I started my own business many many years ago, and I'd go do purchasing myself. I'd go and negotiate with the guys, and I would always say to them, whatever the price we got down to, the haggle and haggle, and
Yeah.
the offer and the counter offer, and we agreed on a price, and it would be something like, let's call it buying a widget, and it'd be $1,010. And I thought, look, I've got to go back to my partner with this. I've got to go back to my wife. I've got prestige to keep up. Look, couldn't you let me have this for $9.99? Just $1 below that psychological thing. Or,
Yeah.
okay, or whatever. Well, hey, I just saved $11.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
And I played the ego card, and
Yeah.
I think, as long as things in negotiation are equitable and wherever,
Mhm.
everybody wins. And we must always think, good, what does the other person want to get out of this? What do I want to get out of it? Where's there room for that we can both get to what we want? The nice guys always come last, and they do. Because they
Mhm.
give in, and they don't want to. They're not confrontational. They don't know that maybe they don't feel their
So
worth or
so the
whatever.
term nice guy isn't literal. It is nice guy is self-sacrifice. Nice guy or nice girl, whatever, is people please. Nice
Exactly.
guy is so it's not about being nice because you're not being nice to anybody, especially yourself. You're doing no one any favors. You're doing no one any service or real diligence if you are a nice guy. If you self-sacrifice, then you're teaching other people they should sacrifice themselves. If you're people pleasing, if you're again self-sacrifice, that's
It's
not nice.
it's
That's not nice.
avoidance of
Yeah, right,
possible confrontation, and
right,
somebody telling me no,
right,
because I can't
exactly.
take no. That
I
and
ca I hate the word no.
no,
I hate it,
and from
but I
sales.
ask myself, I mean, I ask, because I learned in sales. I mean, I learned very early that you certainly aren't going to get a yes if you don't first ask the question. Yeah, you might get a no, but you might get a yes.
It's a
Take the chance,
no is the
jump.
path to yes,
Yes,
and
no is yeah, and we know in sales for every 7 no's, you get a yeah, you get a yes.
yeah.
And real funny, and real funny quick story, and that also goes for speeding tickets. I used to get pulled. That's a chapter in my book too. I used to get pulled like it was my job, and it's a hilarious chapter of how I used to drive as fast as I could go until I reached the car in front of me, regardless of the speed zone, and I would get pulled constantly, but I would talk my way out of these tickets. But eventually I'd get a ticket. And so often I wound up having my license revoked. It's hilarious. Yeah, hilarious. Wound up. Yeah, I'm not going to get into too many details because I want people to like, oh, damn, maybe Stephanie just get on her podcast, talk about her life. No, we'll do that after I've released my book.
Yeah, you've given me two ideas for books here.
Yes,
I
awesome.
wrote a book, I don't know, a couple of years ago. It's up on Amazon or wherever, and it's
What's the name of it?
well, the byline is the quickest way to a new car.
Oh,
Okay,
I love
yeah,
that.
it's a
Quickest.
simple sales book. The quickest way to a new car. But I've had a few different titles for books there, and um, you know, I'm
This goes to YouTube. When I chat here, it goes to YouTube. It doesn't go to comments in D for Rick and Licious and you, nor does it go to my personal page comments. I don't know why, but it goes to YouTube. So I don't see these comments on my YouTube.
Well, you know, we'll have coffee sometime. We'll talk about
Absolutely.
titles and whatever, because when I was in sales, there was such a thing as having a clingy customer. And when someone asked me one time, I did a short interview, and they said, "Well, everyone's got a marathon in them, and everyone's got a book in them." I said, "I've done the marathon. I want to do the book." And they said, "Well, what would you do?" I said, "Well, there's such a thing as good business. There's such a thing as bad business. There's sometimes you get very, very consuming customers, and you've got to understand, what's driving them." They said, "Well, what could you tell people?" I said, "Well, it's all about management." And anyway, it was called the sheepdog model.
Okay.
And if you've ever had a clinging dog and he won't let your leg go, well, sometimes
Oh, yeah.
and people in sales maybe don't understand why they're being clung to, and when they dig deep enough, they are the brain trust. They are maybe for what is saving that customer. Or the
Absolutely.
difference between success and failure, but they don't understand it. They think they're just selling him stuff.
No, and see, and that's where I never, ever, ever have been. I sold with my heart. I offered solutions regardless of what I was selling, and I fervently believed in what I was selling, and what that was going to do for the person that I was, engaging with, 100%, regardless. And I've been in several different.
Sales as a career, I'd recommend anybody get in and have a go at it. It's not for everybody. Many
No,
below
no,
them. Many think it's
no.
like, I couldn't do it. And the
Hmm.
reason they think they can't do it is they're going to fail. Everything is being
Right.
sold. We sell ideas. We sell ourselves
We're
in
being sold
relation.
everything. Yeah, we're all selling
Exactly.
ourselves.
And look around. Everything you see in front of you is being sold. It's
And
an
at the end of the
honorable profession.
day, the premise of this conversation really does start with that deep sense of self-awareness.
Yeah.
And just start there. Just
Mm.
start with asking those deep, like, what do I love? Like, what's awesome about me? What do I like about myself? What do I like about my life? And so oftentimes we'll be like, well, I don't know. I don't know what's good about me.
Mhm.
And you've got to start those are the core beliefs. You must start with those core beliefs. And then because we're not talking about going from 0 to 60, guys, or 0 to 100. We're talking about going from 0 to 1, because we didn't start there. Malcolm and I didn't just start, whoa, we're at 100, bitches. No, I mean, it's a lifelong process, and it's a process that I personally will be on until I'm 1 foot on a banana peel, 1 in the grave. There's so much more, and in so many different ways that I can peel back and understand even more and more and more about myself and who I am,
Mm.
and what I bring, to the world. And I'm sure you feel the same way, Malcolm. I mean, this is
Yeah.
a never ending, it's a journey,
It is evolution.
evolution.
Okay, and this has been great, really. And
It has. It's been
before we
amazing.
go, I've just added another line to my little mantra,
Oh, I love it.
and
Tell
I'm going to
us.
post this. I'm going to say, be the driver, not a passenger. Be the shepherd, not the sheep. Be the leader, not the follower. Be the light, not the dark in a room. Go forward, never go back. Be the delicious thing in others' lives. Stephanie, thank you so much. It's been
Yes.
great.
Thank you, Malcolm. Hey, stay right here. I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for watching, for all those who were commenting today. If you've commented in other areas, I'll only be able to see them after the broadcast ends. This has been an empowered conversation for sure. I am so excited to be back. And Malcolm, again, thank you so much for joining me. And guys, Malcolm's going to post all this in the various comment threads under each stream, so you'll be able to reach out and work with Malcolm. Guys, thanks again. Everyone have a fan-frickin-tastic Wednesday.
Bye, Steph.
Bye. Wait, no, you stay right here.
Oh,
You
no,
say
I
bye to
won't.
everybody. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Woo-hoo!